For takeaway from this whole episode, we now probably see the whole thing in a constructive light?
I would certainly think so. In fact, as all of you know, I think both me and Som over the last 6 months have spent a lot of time on this. And in fact, Som himself has done phenomenal work and worked with the government, with the management team, with everybody else. So I think the world has been waiting for this, final dynamo, if I may call it that. At this point of time, I think if this transition goes well, and I see no reason to doubt that it will go well, then I think everybody will breathe a collective sigh of relief and say, yes, it was an aberration, it was a fraud, the government has done its role, NASSCOM has done its role, and of course the company has done the right thing with the right board. So I think we are in for a much more peaceful time, and I'm just hoping that over the next week or so, nothing new comes up to rock the boat. But I think this is good news for all of us in this industry.
The CLB doesn't seem to indicate that there will be anything to rock the boat. Hear out what they had to say about the board submitting the bid and how soon the company law board would clear it.
Right. And I do not know what is the date they have fixed. Once the approval is given, whoever have been selected, once they make the payment, the allotment will be made.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. So what will be the procedure right now, sir, for the benefit of the others, because we haven't got what we told? What is the procedure now?
I have seen from the TV only that Tech Mahindra has been, has won the bid at rupees 58 rupees. I do not have any official confirmation, so I won't be able to commit anything about that.
Sir, but how long are they going to take now to give this affidavit to you?
See, as per my earlier order, as soon as the bidder is selected, they are supposed to file an affidavit indicating the process by which the successful bidder has been selected. On that basis, I have to decide for granting of the approval, and the board has already fixed a date on which the successful bidder has to make the payment. On making the payment, if successful bidder is approved, the shares will be allotted.
So you say something about 24 hours within which they have to make...
I have no idea. You have to check up
from the board. You said it shouldn't take more than 24 hours after the file.
Once the file, my decision will be within a period of maximum 24 hours.
But sir, any basic consideration for the highest bidder? What are the parameters
that only the board has decided. I have not given any indication.
No, sir, but once if
board is a very, very competent board.
Yeah.
They have decided the technical parameters. They have decided financial parameters, and on the basis they have.
So, but once they file the affidavit, what will be your parameters here?
That I'll have to go through the affidavit and then decide. I won't be able to tell anything at this point of time.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
So is it possible to check?
Okay, that's the company law board talking about when they expect the request to come in and how long they will take to process it. Just a status check on what's happening with the three parties, if you want to call it that. Tech Mahindra is still firm, up about 13.5%. Satyam's just clinging on to 50. Curiously enough, L&T's actually slipped into the red again. So that stock recovered quite a bit on news they were not putting in their bid, but now it's gone into a sulk again and is down about 1%. Sudhin, I just wanted to bring you in on the other point you made when we spoke earlier, where you said that 60 rupees to a share seemed expensive for you, and that's around where Tech Mahindra has put in their bid. You think it's highly priced for Satyam?
Yeah, see, it depends on the valuation of the risk and what Tech Mahindra will get at the end of the day. Now, at this point in time, it looks like they're paying approximately $600 million for 51% equity, and then they have to plan for contingent liability based on their assessment and their legal advisors. At the end of the day, my still assessment is that they would get a revenue of anywhere between 800 million that I talked earlier to $1 billion approximately from this particular acquisition over the next 6 to 8 months in an annual run rate basis. Now you have to compare, and I think their management would be the best to analyze that, whether they should get that revenue in the price that they're paying. Having said that, again, just to clear what I'm trying to say, it may be a great expansion strategy for Tech Mahindra. My only concerns are about from client perspective.
Then?
Ganesh, I was asking about clients earlier, about employees earlier. Do you think they will now feel assured that their jobs are safe now that a new management team is in control? Or do you think one of the first things that Tech Mahindra might look at is to rationalize the unutilized workforce of Satyam Computers?
I think it would be fair to expect to them that they would do that. It may not be the first thing they do, but clearly, once, as I said, the dust settles down and you have maybe 3 months of customer stability in place, you will ask these tough questions. Let's not forget, we are in the middle of a downturn. Every company is looking at cost rationalization. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe 3-4 months down the line, a few hundreds or maybe even a few thousand employees are found to be not really productive at that point of time. So you may be seeing some layoffs maybe over the July, August time, September time frame. But having said that, I mean, I keep maintaining this. If you're a good employee, you're doing good work, nobody would ask you to leave. And I think this is a great time for good employees. If you're not being utilized, you're not productive, I think the time probably you have about 2-3 months to pull up your socks. But otherwise, yes, we will see some layoffs in the near future. I mean, not in the near future, maybe in the next 3 to 4 months in Satyam. So we need to be prepared for that.
Which brings us to the original scam or the fraud in the first place, Ganesh. What happens from here on? Because Satyam has been sold. What can the new management do to bring back any cash which has been taken out of Satyam? Because that might, I mean, nobody's factoring that in, that any cash which has gone out can ever come back to the Satyam balance sheet. Do you think that can be done? Or do you think that's impossible? One shouldn't bet on that.
You know, I was doing a back of the envelope calculation yesterday, and I said, look, assuming no cash comes back, all that's kind of dust and gone, the company would still be, in my sense, a valuation of between 1.2 to 1.5 billion. So if you look at what Tech Mahindra has got, assuming, and I'm pretty sure that this is still a solid company with solid clients, I think the valuation doesn't price in any cash coming back. So getting the cash back, if and when it happens, I think is other agencies to worry about. If I were Tech Mahindra management, I would try and ensure that no further cash goes out, either in the form of bad debts or anything else. So I think that's the priority. I wouldn't even expect that they would worry about cash coming back at this point of time.
Is that the better way to approach it today and work with a clean slate basis where things are going to get rebuilt pretty much from scratch?
Oh, absolutely, I think. And nobody's talking about it, Mithali. That will be, as they say, the cream. If it happens, it'll be a bonus. I mean, who's analyzing Satyam today is thinking of getting thousands of crores of cash back from what Ramalinga Raju took away. If some of that is retrievable, I think it will only add a little bit of cream on the top, since you're not expecting that to happen in any case. But, you know, there's one step further that we need to move, and that is not related to the stock market or indeed the business, is that one very important part of the deal which could have been done by the government and India Inc. has been done, which is the fairly speedy resolution to the sale of Satyam to a company which can carry on with its business. That, I think, will send very good, a fantastic message down to the Western audience which is watching us or watching this episode very closely. The second leg, and much that we should take credit for the speedy sale of Satyam, the second leg is what has to follow, which is that Ramalinga Raju needs to go to jail for a very, very long time. Because that is one part. We were talking about how in this instance we may have dealt with Satyam far better even than how the West or the US might have done with some of its scam companies in the past. But what they do in the US is they send a lot of their CEOs or errant CEOs or those fraudulent CEOs to jail. And the image of that, if you see it on television, of a man being hauled to jail to spend many years there, is a very, very powerful deterrent. And I think the next logical step which the government should engage in now is that justice is served with Ramalinga Raju, the fraudulent promoter. Because Satyam's been dispensed with. In the next few quarters, month, it will come back to its feet. But if the perpetrator of this fraud is not brought to justice, he doesn't go to jail, and a very significant message or deterrent message is not sent out, then I think justice would not have been served in this case, and that is the bigger takeaway. You want to stop such fraudulent promoters from perpetrating the kind of fraud that they do, with the belief that in India, justice will take so long that they will get away with it. That notion has also got to be broken. Since we have taken a fantastic first step with the Satyam episode, the logical step 2 has to be to show the West that even our judicial system can move fast in the case of frauds of this magnitude, and we can send Ramalinga Raju to jail for a very long time. Then I think the message to the Western people who are watching this episode will take away a finally very, very positive message at the end of it.